All right. Pro Football Focus lists Diamador Lenore as the Niners' most underrated player on the roster. Do you agree that Lenore is the most underrated? And if it's not Lenore, who would you nominate as the most underrated 49er?
I mean, truthfully, the most underrated 49er is Dre Greenlaw. In my opinion, he doesn't get nearly as much
credit
call as he
deserves.
He's
never been a Pro Bowler, right?
He's never been a Pro Bowler. Has he
criminal.
even made all?
That's criminal.
Criminal. Has he ever made an All Pro?
No.
He's never made All Pro. And we know what Dre means to us. We know that he's literally the teeth of our defense. I think that he's one of the most unsung heroes, not only in underrated players, not only on our team, but in the NFL. So I think that it's far and away Dre Greenlaw. I mean, I understand that Diamador Lenore, he's got an emergence, right? He put it all together this year. And, because of how he's played, there's a lot of recognition that he hasn't necessarily gotten that he deserved. I understand that. But from day one, since Dre Greenlaw stepped on the field, like there was no warming up period. Like he came in and we didn't need I forgot the guy's name. What's the kid that we got out of that we got from Tampa? Quan Alexander. Yeah. So I mean, he made him obsolete. So it's Dre, in my opinion.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. I there's no question. I mean, he is the most under-recognized great player that they have.
Yeah.
But I will say, I'll say JJ. I'll say Jauan Jennings. Like, you just can name so many receivers that, and to me, it's like, do you do it with the money on the table in cold weather in the playoffs when everybody's watching? Do you do it against the best teams in the biggest moments? I mean, he was their best receiver in the Super Bowl. This guy, Jauan Jennings is just such an underrated player. His 40 time is slow. Nobody would ever, you would name so many receivers before you'd ever name him. But in reality, man, you can go to him at any moment and you just feel really confident that he's coming through. So I'm going to say Jauan Jennings. Jennings he's unique. He's a really unique player. I mean, some guys, it's like a racehorse on Derby Day. It's like some people, people, thrive in big moments. Other people wither in big moments. Horses are no different. I mean, and Jauan Jennings is kind of like that. He's the guy that plays big when it matters. He's kind of like the Draymond Green. He's like the Draymond Green of the Niners in that, it's like you put Draymond in a preseason game or an all-star game or something like that, he doesn't look good at all. But if you put him in a finals game, with money on the table and everything hanging in the balance, he's like the best player and had like a 32 point. I think in game 7 of the finals a few years ago, Draymond had like 32 points and 14 rebounds and 7 assists. I mean, he was awesome because he can elevate, and Jauan Jennings is like that. I mean, he was the best receiver the Niners had in the Super Bowl, no doubt.
Well, I mean, but that's what's congruent with all these players. Like one thing that all these guys hold is they play like a poor man. All of these guys, they play like they broke.
They're hungry.
They play like they ain't got no money, and I love it. They play hard. They play like they plan for a meal after this game. And really what happens is
in the NFL, they kind of are.
Yeah.
Right. In the NFL, nothing's guaranteed.
And really, if you look at a Jauan or if you look at a Diamador Lenore, I just made a comment back to Otani in the chat where he said that Diamador Lenore's coverage isn't that good. He said, well, how good is his actual coverage? But that's just the point, right? It's the same thing with Jauan Jennings. These are players where they don't have skill set on tap, right? Where they can just go touch on it whenever they want to. These guys are underrated, and they found niches for themselves in the league because of their attitude and their approach to the game, right? Diamador Lenore he's got decent coverage. He's not locked down, But what gave him his uptick this year wasn't necessarily because his coverage got so much better. It's because he added physicality with it. He got bigger, stronger, and faster. All right. And his attitude changed. His confidence was through the roof last year, right? Where there was literally nobody in front of him that he thought could beat him one-on-one. And the same thing is with Juwan. Like, imagine if Juwan wasn't played to the echo of the whistle and he was just one of those guys that was too cool for school. I'm gonna run my route. I'm gonna try to get open. If it's not a good ball, I will. No, Juwan Jennings is on the field because of all of the extra superlatives that he brings with his game, because he has to, because he knows that his ass ain't in the league if he's not ultra physical, right? You can't have your skill set and, you know, have brother-in-law agreements with DBs. No, you got to make yourself known. You got to carve a niche. You can't be a corner who's undersized and has physicality issues in the league. It's like, no, you got to make a name for yourself. You got to be the hunter, not the hunted. So a lot of these guys, and didn't really take that, copy paste it with Dre Greenlaw. Look at how Dre Greenlaw plays above and beyond. Like, I am giving you, I'm popping off the tape. My performance is undeniable. My contribution to this team cannot be matched. It will not be replaced. So those are the type of players that I like, where they force you to play them. Like, it ain't up to you.
Yeah, to me, I would define it as they are the do or die guys. It's like they play the game like it's do or die, and it's awesome. I mean, it's awesome. You know, and Dre Greenlaw is one of my favorite people to talk to in the room, because he loves to play. And I've said to him before, I said, "Hey man, just between you and me, you'd play this game for free, wouldn't you?" And he'd be like, "Yeah." You know, it's like, he doesn't want that word to get out, but that's how much he loves to play. You know, that's how much he loves to hit. He would play the game for free. Other guys are like, dude, I ain't lifting a finger without money. You know, it's like, you know, I'm not subjecting myself to any of this without big cash. And he's not either, but you know what I'm saying? He loves to play and lives to play. Which if you can get a whole room full of guys like that, man, you're going to be impossible to beat. That's why it's like the personnel side of it. That's why the scouts are so, when the Niners got this Malik Mustafa, that's what this guy is about. This guy plays, it's do or die. And that's why Niner fans are going to love him. And
that's the civil war that's happening across the league in every locker room. It's, how do we stay grounded and rooted enough where we're not reading our own newspaper clippings? We don't think that we're as good as we are, but then how do we pay these guys and still keep the same mantra? How do we keep that culture in our locker room and turn these guys into millionaires, right? So that's why you love, like, dynasties. That's why you love what Coach Belichick was able to do with the New England Patriots, with the do your job mantra. Like, that's, people don't understand that, but this is really it's sociology. This is like a human experiment where it's, all right, I can get the best out of you now because you don't have anything. But as soon as you get all of the adoration and you get all of the newspaper clippings and you get the money, can you guys show up to work and work just as hard? Can you put it in the same way? So we got to see what our team is going to do now, because really that's bred by competition. That's bred by rookies coming in, not being impressed with the guy in front of them. They're trying to take jobs. They're trying to come in and make themselves noticed by the organization. As far as I'm concerned, like, I used to have a coach that used to say this: we're not a team until week 1. We ain't a team until week 1. So y'all can have all of this kumbaya bullshit. Y'all want to stay up, play video games, go eat together and all of that. That's cool. But we're evaluating. So, you know, you guys need to be, I know you got a guy or an OG or a mentor that's in front of you, but too much of this friendly shit.
Yeah.
I need to see some teeth flying during practice. So that's the cloth that I'm from. So I want to see if these rookies are come in here and fight.
Yeah, no question. No question.
To the competition of the team.
And it's funny. And my mentor in the Canadian League was this guy, Bill Urbanic, and I loved him. He died this year, and I miss him terribly. He was a great guy. defensive line coach for the Bengals in Super Bowl 23, and great coach for the Raiders and Cardinals, and did personnel, worked with me in Canada. And he used to say, Larry, let me tell you, there's 3 reasons guys play football in the NFL. I'm like, okay, go for it. And he's like, some guys play for the money. He's like, some guys play for the girls, and some guys play just so they can fuck shit up. And Dre Greenlaw and Jauan Jennings, they play the game not for the money, not for the girls, just so they can fuck shit up. As far as in other words, they love the physicality, they love the violence, they love hitting, and I
get to legally impose my will.
Right,
the only place I get to do it, and I get rewarded for it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Chauncey Gardner-Johnson doesn't play for the money, doesn't play for the girls. He plays to fuck shit up. And there's guys like that all around the league, and there used to be even more of them. And that's what great defensive players do. And even some great offensive players, they like the contact. I mean, what is Jauan Jennings awesome at? He will take your defensive back and he will block them into the freaking bench. We saw it last year. Was it the Detroit game or the Green Bay game where he blocked some guy into the water, into the Gatorade bucket? I mean, it was awesome. That to me is JJ. That to me is Greenlaw. And that to me is Malik Mustafa, by the way.
Yeah, I just, even when you talk to these guys, you talk to Dre, and he's got an abrasive personality. You could tell that where you stand with him. He's not politically correct. He's going to tell you, and he's going to tell you how he feels about you. Did you see the podcast where him and Fred did a podcast on Fred's show? And
I didn't see it, but I heard about it.
And Fred asked Dre what was his first impressions of him when he saw him. He was like, I thought you was trash. I saw your face.
That's awesome.
He said, I thought you was trash, man. He was like, they drafted this guy?
Like, you got to be kidding me.
But that's what you want, though. That's the game. It's like, we got a whole season to be teammates, right? Once the ball's rolled out, we get on the bus, cool. We could go against the other guys. But for now, man, I'm 1099, dog. Like,
no, I mean, seriously. I mean, people, you got to play for keeps because nothing's guaranteed. That's the thing. And it's like sometimes, like, over the course of the year, if it's a slow news day or something, I like to ask, or I'll mix in a question to some of the players in the locker room. I'll be like, hey man, if shit's going down in a bar and you got to have somebody roll up and defend you in here, who are you going with? And man, you heard a lot of Kinlaw because Kinlaw's so imposing, but you heard a lot of Greenlaw, you heard a lot of Juwan Jefferson, or Jauan Jennings, I should say. Guys who are just, they know it's like, these guys are about, defending their brothers and playing the game the right way and being physical.